Christiana, you're on.
Okay, hello Alicia. What
Hi.
is the problem? What brought you here today?
I have a really, well, maybe not me, but we have a very difficult relationship. My one of my sons and I, we're
Okay.
always yelling at each other, and it's kind of always very conflictive, and yeah, very, very. Very angry makeup kind of dynamic between us.
Christiana, just to interrupt you, go ahead and use your cheat sheet if you want to. The best of or the other one, either one. Sorry.
Yes. So I have tons of questions kind of popping in my head.
The ones in your head are the best ones, but the cheat sheet.
Yes, I was gonna say, well, I was gonna kind of cancel it, but that's probably not the right way to do it. I was gonna ask how long this has been going on. Is that okay?
Yeah, perfect. Good question. So we're just investigating. So anything you want to know is good. When did it start? How long has it been going? Anything like that. That's good.
I would say since he was a teenager. So he's 20 now. So maybe since about the age of 14, 15.
Okay.
So for the purposes of the demo, I don't ask for children's names, but if you're working one-to-one with someone, you always want to ask the name and use the name.
Okay. All right.
Should I give a name?
It's up to you.
Yes. Okay, so his name is Kayvon.
Kayvon.
This is just important for the subconscious mind to, really be associated with the right person.
Yeah. So do you think that 5 years ago, is that correct? 5 or 6 years ago, something changed, either with you or with him, or between you?
I think yes. I think he became more independent, more rebellious. Kind of started to struggle against. I don't know if you want to say parental authority.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What was your reaction to that?
Well, since I was the parental authority, and I saw that his behavior was sometimes not kind of in line with what I thought it should be, I became much more of a disciplinarian and kind of tightened the reins a little bit, if you will. We kind of tried to limit his risky behavior.
Okay.
Christiana, did you catch the subconscious moment in the answer there?
Maybe
there was one I noticed that really stood out. Did you see it?
I'm not sure. I started thinking that I'm lost already.
Oh yeah, good, perfect. Well, that means it's working, so that's great. If you're lost, that's a good sign. But I noticed about when she said that she became the parent. I can't remember the word she used. She looked up to the center, like almost cross-eyed. Did you notice it? It was like a very quick, weird little thing that if you're not watching, you would miss it. But if you're careful, looking carefully, you'd see it. So I know that she has something invested in being that person. So she already gave it away. Like she's not sure she wants to be that person, or she didn't like having that role. See, look at her. She's already in agreement. So that's what I mean by unconscious moment. That's why I'm the subconscious whisperer and everybody else is not. So that's what I'm looking for. But anyway, it's not important. I'm just bringing
Amazing. Yeah. Okay.
So Christiana, if you feel lost, what do you just ask yourself? What do I know? What do you already know?
Oh, what's not fun about being that authority?
Great question. Perfect.
Oh, it is not fun at all to be that authoritarian type parent because you feel like you're always pushing them away, and then you have to step out of that role and then draw them closer. And yeah, I find it hard to play those two roles all the time. And so, yeah, I think he looks to me, he says to me that I'm always upset at him and I'm always angry, and that nothing he does, he feels like he doesn't do anything right in my eyes because I'm always upset with him.
Does everybody hear the clashing reality? Christiana, do you hear a clashing reality?
Well, I mean, I wonder why we have to play a role that we don't like.
Perfect. See, you're good at this. That's the whole thing. Is she said, what I really want to do is draw him close to me. What I really want is for him to be near me and love me, and I love him. But what I'm finding myself doing is the opposite of that. That's a clashing reality because she's saying, what I want is, but what I do is, okay, so which is it? I'm not saying you have to jump on it now. I'm just saying, okay, so now we're observing that she's not too sure. Okay, perfect. Continue. You're doing great.
Yeah. So, Alicia, why did you decide that you have to be this type of parent to discipline him?
Perfect.
I guess that was the role that we played in our couple. My husband was less present, and I was more present with the kids. So I took on the more disciplinarian role. And then when my husband passed away a little bit over a year ago, I kind of, now I feel like I have to play both roles, not just the disciplinarian. He's not there to kind of pick up the upset children after I set the rules. So I feel like I'm struggling between
There you go. See it?
setting the rules and getting him close, with him in particular.
Isn't it I just have to highlight, isn't it interesting how everyone's subconscious is unique? I have never seen another client do that. That's her subconscious. Watch it back on the recording, Alicia. It's just so interesting.
I can't see myself.
Yeah. Go on.
Yeah. So, do you think that your son's reaction may partially be also a reaction to his dad passing?
No, not a suggestion. That's a suggestion.
Loaded question.
And it's also, you have assumed so many things. You have assumed that she's here to talk about the death. You have assumed that the kid is who you expected.
I'm sorry,
to be.
my connection is not very good. I'm sorry. I need to. I lost the sound.
It's okay. Take your time. But so, not a question where you.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear?
I cannot hear. Alicia, can you please say something?
Hi, can you hear me?
Sorry, let me
Christiana?
just restart real quick.
That's okay. Sometimes this happens in the sessions too. We just have to troubleshoot, be patient. Let's see if she comes back. If not, we'll reassign this role.
The technology gremlins are here.
Yes. Although I like the technology because it's allowed me to work with lots of people that I would not otherwise have gotten the chance to work with. While we're waiting too, one thing I thought during the break was, Sky, to your question about do we work with our friends, there is something that happens when people pay for help. They want it more. So taking the money is helpful to people. And the price you put on it is also reflective of what kind of person is wanting the help. Yep. Looks like she's trying to come back on. Let's see what happens.
I'm here. I'm sorry. Yeah.
We can hear you. Can you hear
okay.
us?
Yes. It's my Chromebook.
No problem. If this happens in your sessions, Christiana, you just stay calm and just reset it.
Okay. Yeah.
We can't see you right now. Is your video able to be turned on? If not, you can leave it off.
Yeah, it's on.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So you just, when you get back to somebody, if something happens, you say, what do you say?
Well, let's just continue right where we left off.
So
apologies for.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry I was whatever. But what you were saying was?
Yeah, it was a question whether her son's reaction is possibly a reaction as well, partially because of his dad
Yeah.
passing.
And why did I say not that question?
Um, it's a suggestive question.
Yeah, you've assumed a lot of
Mhm.
things that a regular therapist would assume.
Right.
But also, she said this problem predates the death.
Yes, that's
So so we don't even have a reason to assume that. So try again.
okay. So something else I'm curious about is now that the situation in the family has changed, Alicia, is this role still necessary?
The disciplinarian role, I think I think it is. I guess I feel like he's a bit lost,
Mhm.
and that if I don't provide some boundaries, that he risks getting even more lost. And so my way of trying to keep him or help him is that I'm constantly on him to be responsible, to pick up his things, to go to class, and
Does it
yeah,
help him?
he
Does it help him in the end, or what does it do to him?
I don't know. He resents it, clearly resents it. But if I don't, I feel like if I'm not constantly on him, that he doesn't do anything. Like he will stay in bed for, he'll miss his classes. He'll, he won't pick up after himself. He will just, I don't know. I guess I feel like if I'm not constantly reminding him of the things that he needs to do, that he just isn't motivated to
So
do them on his own.
what's the difference between like guiding, mentoring, and setting boundaries and discipline?
I don't know. I guess in my mind, it's almost the same thing.
So just take a minute to think that over. I'm just wondering if you really look it over. Are they the same? Is
But
it
no, I guess if I were guiding, I would be, it
there's the
would be
subconscious?
joint process, I guess,
It would be what?
like a joint process between him and I,
Okay.
and understanding, what's important to him, as opposed to it being more coming from, as a parent, what I think he should do.
Would that unified front be better for your family and for you?
Yes.
So just let me ask you something. I happen to know that you like have a high level business acuity. So I want to appeal to that and ask you, when you're managing a person who works for you, do you discipline them or do you get on their side and make them an ally?
You make them an ally.
Okay. So why how do you know that that's the better way to manage people?
Because that is the best way to get people to rise to the challenge and give their best.
And if you discipline them, what do they do?
It goes the other way.
Yeah, exactly. They quit. They tell you you suck as a boss and go fuck yourself. I'm out of here. Right. And so then you lose them to the company. Okay.
Yeah, I guess I just think as a parent, like in terms of a parenting approach, maybe it's my own approach to it, but I've sort of felt if you're not clear, and if you're not sending, like if you're not setting rules and boundaries that are clear to the child, that you're not helping them. I don't know where that comes from, but I guess absent that, I feel like I'm not doing my role as a parent.
So where does it come from? Where does your idea that you have to be that person come from?
I think a lot of it was my husband's expectations,
Okay.
and maybe because he wasn't as present, um, I guess I felt that he was judging my own parenting skills when the kids were, I don't know, impolite or messy or not responsible. That it was somehow one of my own, like my own failings, and not having dealt with them in a more, I guess, severe way.
So interesting. Christiana, what do you think? What do you want to know about that?
Well, I wonder why disciplining became all your responsibility.
I think I just filled the void. Uh, I because I don't know. I guess I felt like that's how I could show that I was playing a parental role.
Show who?
I think my husband.
Okay. So you became the person that he was not willing to be. Just
Yes.
explain it again.
Yeah, I think that I, for some reason, felt that that was what it was expected of me
Right.
as a parent,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how I expressed it with the kids, and I'm still expressing it that way with the kids.
And what do you think of it now, retrospectively? Was that an accurate assessment at the time, and is it accurate now? Take your time.
Uh,
That's a good question.
um,
That's it.
I don't know what if it was an accurate assessment. I just know that that's how I did it, and I know when the kids were little, it wasn't like that. I was always singing with them, and we were doing crazy stuff, and it was more unstructured. And then I guess over time, as they grew, and I think I felt like the expectation was that the kids had to be, had to behave a certain way and had to project a certain image and had to, you know, be responsible for certain things. And so then I kind of moved away from that more um, chaotic, unstructured type parenting to a more rigid disciplinarian.
What's the emotion behind it? What do you feel? What are the tears for?
I think it was more fun to
Yeah.
not be the disciplinarian. We had
Yeah. You miss it?
I do.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I can relate to that as a mom. It's true, as they grow, it's harder to know. There's a lot more to deal with.
Yeah. I guess I feel like if you go back to, or if I go back to that more unstructured parenting role, then okay, then I have to accept that the house is going to be upside down, and that the beds are not going to be made, and that
Right.
the dinner might not make it to the table on time. Like just yeah, there's all of those things that kind of became important at one point.
Are you telling me that you miss some of the joy that comes from sacrificing order?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me just ask you something. What does that look like in a house full of grown teenagers? Like, let's pretend that we went back to unstructured, like when they were tiny, which is so much fun and so crazy. But it's different with a 17, 19, whatever they are. But what would the feel of it be? Can you imagine an unstructured, less structured, let's say, version of your home now? Would you be able to restore the joy? Like, tell me about that.
I think so. I mean, yes, it would be more chaotic back to the way things were. I think that I feel like I have less bandwidth to deal with all of the chaos at home because I have a lot on the non-home front that um, is just taking up a lot of my mind space and my time and energy. So
Does
when I come home, I freak out, basically.
does pushing Kayvon away from you create draw on your energy also?
Oh, yes.
Okay. But so
And the
you're
siblings and the whole family dynamic is
so
also.
you're saving energy by being more structured, which in the end causes more division, which costs you more energy. So are you saving the energy that you said you were saving?
Not really.
Okay. Is it actually costing more than you started with?
Yes.
Okay, so the price is higher than the solution.
Yeah, I guess my way of dealing with uncertainty is to try and control.
How's it working for you?
Clearly not working at home.
Okay.
You can't control kids. So
And you can't control life and you can't control a family. Why try? Why are you trying to?
I think it's just a habit. I
Yeah,
think it's just
exactly.
my personality. Yeah.
Is it a part of your personality or is it something you picked up?
I think it's part of my survival toolkit.
Okay. Is it something you learned? Because the reason I'm asking is because you said it was. You said it's something I picked up from my husband. So I'm wondering, is it native to you or is it something you learned from the environment?
I think there's a bit of both. There's um, part of how I learned to deal with, you know, being an immigrant kid in
Right.
Canada, not speaking the language, trying to fit into the neighborhood, like all those things. It kind of was how I got a sense of security. And I there was a whole other cultural element with my husband that I think added expectations of, that whatever order and control that I had felt important, it took it to kind of another degree.
Because you wanted to live up to who he wanted you to be?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that in retrospect? I mean, rest his soul. How do you feel about it given that you're not having to do it anymore?
There's a part that's liberating, but then there's a part that I can't seem to let go of, like the whole disciplinarian part with the children that probably wasn't my nature, and yet I feel I have to do it like 10 times more than I did before.
Oh, 10 times more. That's a lot more.
Yeah. Like I didn't care about the house being so neat before, but now I seem to care about it a lot.
Before
And so
what?
I think when my husband was alive, maybe he was also he cared about it a lot. And
Yeah,
so he was also there to tell the kids to pick up,
right.
and I guess it wasn't something I cared as much about, but I seem to have like taken it on as my focus.
Yeah, it's almost a way to keep him in the house.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you do that given that you lost him so recently?
Yeah.
That seems pretty rational to me.
Well, I didn't think of it that way, but it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, take your time.
No, yeah, I guess in terms of the way the house is being run, I'm running it the way he would have run it. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's a way of keeping him alive.
How beautiful is that?
Well, it isn't beautiful when we're constantly fighting.
Yeah, but there's a beauty in the intention. There's a beauty in the grief, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is hard to figure out what to do in the face of loss. Like it's not obvious, there's no guidebook. So you've done what's obvious to you.
Yeah.
What do you want to do now that what's obvious doesn't feel that good? How can you keep him in the house without making yourself upset and cave on? What one change could you make instead of thinking of changing the whole thing? Take your time.
No, I don't know if there's one change to make. I mean, it's been more than a year, and I think, you know, we're at the stage now where we're more willing to let go of things the way they were. So, you know, we're moving the furniture around, and we're you know, we're changing our like dinner routine. Yeah, so I think he's still around without necessarily having to, I guess, without me having to take on his role in the
Yeah.
way that I've been taking it on as a parent.
Did you ever have to take on that role?
No.
So you
Yeah,
chose to.
I chose to. Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I obviously did it out of love and out of feeling that that's what was expected, but it clearly went against something in my nature.
Mm.
So yeah, so
What has
there was something that I gave up in doing that.
what did you learn from that?
Well, what I'm learning now is it comes back to haunt you if you're not being true to you're not being true to yourself.
How interesting was that UM? Did you all see that unconscious moment when it comes back to haunt you? There's like so much invested in that. What do you want to know, Christiana?
Oh, well, my mind went to all types of questions. I don't even know that I'm just curious in general. I don't know that I need to ask them, but I wonder.
So Christiana, just to help you to sort through all the questions,
Mhm.
be silent inside of your mind and listen to the loudest one. What is your body and your soul asking her to ask her, asking you to ask her? Because I get that too. Sometimes I get a crowd of questions and I blurt out the one that's most magnetic. And I don't think about it. I just trust it.
Okay, so my question here is, what was your children's relationship with your husband like? And yeah.
That's a good question.
You see, when you trust it, they always say, see, look, just look at what you did. Look at what you did. See, I didn't think of that question. You did. And look at her. She can't sit still. The hand, the tears. Look at what it did to you, Christiana. You see how now you're hypnotized into it? And I'm talking over the both of you, and it's still doing it. Go ahead.
So it wasn't easy, at least if we're talking about Kayvon.
Mhm.
It wasn't easy. Kayvon was always saying that he didn't have a relationship with his dad, and that he had more of a relationship with me. And I don't know what that was, because his dad was not the disciplinarian. He was the more kind of gentle, loving, you know, presence. He didn't have to be the disciplinarian. I had taken all that on. But it still wasn't a very close relationship that Kayvon had with his dad. I think it was more of Kayvon very much respected his dad and looked up to him and had a distant admiration,
Mhm.
but there was less of the closeness.
What was your relationship like with your husband?
Mm. We had a really good relationship. Um, it was how do I describe it? It was close and loving, but I don't know, there was less of an equality,
Mhm.
I guess, if you will. I think partly because I had maybe put him up on a pedestal, and that's how I calibrated my actions within our couple, and with my role with the kids. So it's sort of like, in terms of hierarchy, he was number one, I was number two.
So how will this change now in the current dynamics?
How do you want it to change?
Mm-hmm.
I think what's most important for me is that I want the kids to feel like they are loved and supported and accepted, and yeah, that they take that away, that they take away the fact that they had a mom who loved them and supported them, and did anything I could for them, as opposed to a mom that was constantly yelling at them.
Is Kayvon getting the experience that you want him to have right now?
No.
How much longer can you go on like that? When is enough enough?
And enough is enough.
How do you know?
Because I know. I just don't know how to get to the other side, because my default mode is to, say, good morning, Kayvon, and please make your bed,
Right.
kind of thing. Like,
Right. Of course. Wait,
yeah.
I see her holding something back. What is it?
I can't stop going back to setting like these expectations that I know that he's never going to meet.
Okay. How do you feel when people set expectations on you that are not accurate to who you are?
Well, you feel certainly not feeling close to them.
Right. Do you feel judged?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you like that? Do you hate it? Right. So when you say to him, "Good morning, Kayvon, go make your bed," what is the first message of the day to him?
You've disappointed me already.
Right. You already are not the person that I wish you were.
Yeah.
That's a rough start to the day.
I know. Especially since I usually wake him up to say that.
Right, exactly. My mom loves me so much.
I'm leaving. Make your bed and clean this.
Right. Okay. What do you want it to be instead of that?
Yeah. Certainly, I don't want him to feel like he's being judged on things that are really not that important in the overall scheme of things.
Yeah, really. What do you want him to feel in the morning when you wake him up?
I want him to feel like he's excited about his day, and that he's got so much potential to go and do things that stimulate him, and that he's got he's got a backup team of his family waiting to support him.
So let's not be like overly, rainbows and unicorns, because we know that the reality of life is we could sit here all day and say, I want him to feel loved in the morning, but you're not going to wake him up and, shower him with rainbow confetti. So what is going to be helpful in reality, like not in the fantasy world? I like the fantasy. It is nice.
Yeah. Well, the reality is that when I wake him up in the morning, it's because I've seen all of the dishes and everything he's left up in the kitchen. So I'm already pissed off. And so when I go and wake him up, I'm already like ready to
Right.
not be nice.
Right.
So
does that have, let me just ask you something. Does that have anything to do with him? How you feel?
how I feel? No.
Okay. So you
But
feel resentful and you go and let him know that you resent that.
absolutely, yes.
Okay. Why
And
why
then I take it as him, so because he knows it's important to me that he cleans up after himself. So I take it as almost like a, fuck you, mom. I know
Yeah.
this is important to you, so I'm not doing it. And
Right.
it's like every day.
Let me ask you something. How likely is it that that's what he's really trying to tell you? Like for a 17-year-old boy, like we don't know what they're thinking, but I wonder, are you reading his message accurately or are you just reading your lack of patience and time?
Since I've been saying the same thing since he was 12, so
Okay.
yeah. Mm, I think there's a little bit of that rebelliousness still,
And
and yeah.
yeah.
So even if I tell him a million times, I think there's a part of him that is testing
What's
still.
wrong? What's wrong with that?
Well, if you put on, like, as a parent, you think, well, if I don't correct this behavior now, he's never going to become responsible, and he's going to, ruin his life.
I thought you said your main priority was love, not correction.
It is.
Clashing reality.
It is, but then I still feel like it's my role that if I don't tell him these things,
Right.
and if I don't try to encourage him to change his behavior, that he's going to
Okay.
end up in situations in his future where, yeah, it's the fact that he's not responsible.
Let me ask you something. Do you think it's likely that the fact that he does not feel supported and loved could also lead him to do things that you're trying to help him avoid doing?
Yeah,
So you're trying to help him avoid doing something by doing something that creates a possibility that he goes and does that thing.
yeah.
Okay.
That's crazy making.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it makes sense, but I didn't see it that way.
Does it make sense to you now that you see it that way?
Yes.
It does it make sense to you or does it not make sense? I mean, does it not make
It,
sense to do it?
it does make sense. And
Right.
I guess when my husband was alive, if he woke up in the morning and the kitchen was a complete disaster, he would freak out.
Right.
So I guess
It's
if
a
the kitchen
tribute
is
to
that
him.
way, I don't have to freak out.
Right. It's a tribute to him, though, that you are repeating what he would do,
Yes, it is.
like we've already said, which has a real beauty to it, like has a real meaning to it. How can you keep that without the negative spin? I'll keep going till she comes back.
Yeah.
Because that's the piece you want, right? I don't
Yeah.
know. Do you, let me ask you before I assume that. Do you want that? Do you want to keep him in the house? The energy?
Absolutely.
Do you want to keep it the way that was hurting the kids?
No.
Okay. So the part you want to keep is what?
I want to keep the part that was loving, the part that was patient, the part that was all about encouraging and accepting them for who they were, and less the part that was picky about everything being in its place and being, hyper neat and organized.
Okay, but I'm a mom. I also have a home and a business, and I don't manage as many people as you, but I deal with a lot of people. So I know how it feels too to have to figure out a way to function. So without overly romanticizing this whole thing, like, okay, caution to the wind, that he can sleep all day, he can pile up the dishes, like, that's not going to work. So what's needed so that the functionality also occurs, but without the negative spin on it?
Well, it has to come from him. Clearly, me forcing him and bribing him or threatening, it has had no results, and
Right.
it's just making things worse. So it has to come from him being willing to do those things because they matter to him in some way, not
Right.
because they matter to me.
Okay.
I
Is
just
that
don't know how to do that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you is, so one thing you know for sure is repeating the process you're doing is not effective. So the punitive way is not the next way, is not the way forward. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So something will have to change, but we don't know quite what. What are people doing who have teenagers who are using the car, going to school, washing the dishes? What are they doing that you're not doing? Christiana, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Do you want to turn your video back on?
Oh, I was looking at myself the entire time. Sorry.
Yeah.
No
I could
problem.
see it. I guess
You're,
not.
you're still part of it. Okay, so what I was asking her, you can pick it up from here, is so the punitive way is not going to be the way forward, but we
Correct.
can't let the house be, overridden with mess. So what's going to happen next? What needs to happen? What are people doing who are having teenagers in their homes who are using the car and getting to school and cleaning the dishes? What are they doing that you're not doing?
I don't know because the other three are okay. It's just
Right.
Kayvon.
Okay. So
So
what does that tell you? What do you gather from that? What is your assumption based on that? Is it that it's him?
he's it just he has different drivers, and he I don't know, to be honest. I don't know. I know that, well, I think it's probably about getting closer and then getting him to step up.
It's probably about getting closer. What does that mean? To him?
It's, yeah.
What does that look like? Yeah, take your time. That's a good question.
Yeah, I
Take your time. Take your time. That's a good question.
uh, I tend to think that if from his perspective, it would be that I would just make no demands and have no expectations and, let him do whatever he wants.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, is that going to happen?
No.
No. Okay. All
No.
right. I didn't think so. And let's just be clear too. Do children like it when we abandon all structure?
No.
No, they don't like that. They like to have things to do. They like to have order. They like to know who you are and what your relationship is to them. So what you just said is not really what he wants.
So maybe it's just having the same expectations and rules without the judgment and resentment and anger and frustration that I throw at him all the time.
Well, what's the benefit of all those things?
I think the benefit is for me just kind of maybe wanting him to know that it isn't easy for me.
Oh,
And
okay.
he's not making things any easier either. So,
Interesting. Right, right. So it's for you.
yes, I think it's for me.
Okay. So you're frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, what do you need?
Mm. Um, I think I needed the kid. I needed help, really. Like, I wanted the kids to step up a bit more in this situation, and they don't really. So it's, I guess maybe it's all the frustration and disappointment of feeling like I'm in this alone.
Yeah. Well, as a widow, that would be normal. Go ahead, Christiana.
Yeah, I want to ask you, what is the mom that you want to be like? Who is the ideal Alicia mom? Not
Mm.
the expectation that you took upon yourself, but who is the authentic you?
Great question.
Yeah, well, I think it's back to it's back to when the kids were younger and we had a lot more fun and there was a lot less expectations. And I guess the difference is that when kids are little, as a parent, they're dependent in many ways. So you don't resent doing stuff for them. It's when they're adults and that you're still doing all the stuff, and that it's that you get to a point where you're resentful because they don't step up. And so it's all of that it's not just Kmart. I think all the kids are sensing that I've had it with being them, not me still being the mom that does everything for them, and then having to do everything else that is now on my plate. And yeah, so they're sensing my frustration and anger, and my expectation has been that they would be more helpful, and they're not. And so it's yeah, this is why this is why I'm in this quandary where the relationship, especially with K1, is but overall with all the kids is just more conflictive, and I'm more upset with them, and they get the sense that I'm always in a bad mood. So
Are you?
um, I not always, when I come home at the end of the day, yeah, I tend to be in a bad mood when then I have to like prepare dinner and the house is upside down and everybody's in their room and everybody has their own things to do, and no one kind of comes when I call them. So yeah, I do get in a bad mood a lot now.
How's that working out for you?
It's not.
Are you in a more bad mood than you used to be?
Yeah,
Because you're more tired?
I'm more tired. I'm more tired, and I guess you reach a point where I think you
Are you
realize that things have to change.
are you more tired because you're doing the role of both parents now? Or why are you more tired now?
I just feel like it's heavier. I mean, I feel like I'm taking things more personally.
Then
So
when?
then maybe when we were two, and if the kids were misbehaving, what it wasn't just, you know, I wasn't taking it as a reflection of me. They were just kids. Now I'm taking it as a reflection of the fact that I didn't deal with the situation properly.
I see. So you're judging yourself harder now that you're the sole parent.
Yeah.
Okay. How does that feel?
Well, it feels tiring. It's exhausting. Yeah, it's exhausting. Not fun.
I'm just curious to know where is your grace towards yourself? Like you're a widow, you run a big company, you run 4 children, a big house. Like I don't hear you telling me anything about how amazing that is and impressive and how you take, the day off to go to the spa. Like, tell me, where's the grace in it for you?
I think that uh, not, nothing, the thing that matters most is my family. And when that is not going well, then everything else feels really heavy.
Yeah.
And if things were better at home, I feel like the rest wouldn't be a big issue. But
Where do you feel that?
yeah,
Where are you feeling that right now?
um,
Take your time.
no, my heart.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's where I felt it. Yeah, what do you feel there?
Yeah, I just
Take your time.
I feel like maybe the focus has to come back to just creating more harmony at home.
Yeah. What is it that you feel in your heart?
Part of me feels like I need to be more present and just be more
But that's your
like all those things we did this morning on, what's the problem, and I don't have time to ask that. I just kind of jump in and sort of, bark out orders and dictate what needs to be done because I
But
feel.
what's the problem? What's the problem is the most important. So you're skipping the most important?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the problem. The problem is skipping step 1.
Yeah.
What is that?
It's getting their side of the story.
Yeah. And their side of the story is another way of saying the love. Seeing them.
Yeah.
Like not missing who they are. And Kayvon is who he is, right? Like, so he's difficult. All right, great. That's who he is. Is he still lovable anyway?
Yes, he's very lovable. It can be very lovable, but it can be very frustrating. So, yeah, the two extremes, right? He's got the biggest heart.
Who is the Alicia? I'm going to work off of Christiana's question. Who is the Alicia who sees him as he is and loves him that way and also holds a better vision for him, but without expectation? Who is that woman? Have you ever met her?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So you know her.
Mm-hmm.
Where is she?
Well, she's just hiding behind the whatever expectation that she created about what she needed to do to be a good parent.
How much more energy do you have for that?
None. None. I'm willing to just let everything, Yeah.
You want to pull out your cauldron?
Yeah. Yeah, basically.
We'll have Amanda.
Amanda, I need your cauldron.
Oh, that's funny. Amanda can open a business shipping
Yeah.
cauldrons around. I think that's a great idea.
No, but I think I'm at the same point that I think Amanda reached yesterday, where I'm just like willing to
do it. Let's do it. Go ahead.
Yeah, just throw it all out.
Go ahead. Take your time. Go ahead.
I really don't have a cauldron. I don't have anything that will generate fire.
So how do you want to do it? I mean, I was kind of kidding because Amanda's her own special witchy self. But what are you going to do? What do you want to do? Do you want to send that part of you to outer space? Do you want to bury it? Do you want to burn it? Do you want to transform it? Do you want to change its whatever?
Yeah, I think maybe I'll just transform all that negative energy that I've been harboring and putting out, and just transform it into something that is more loving and accepting, and that cares less about the result and more about sort of the process. And yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, everything's uncertain. You said your kids are not predictable, and there's no guarantee that even if they make their bed every morning and clean up after themselves, that they're going to be happy or going to be successful or whatever. So at the end of the day, I guess all we really have is that journey that we accompany them during the time that they're with us. And so I guess I'll put that energy there, and then que sera, sera, right?
That was an interesting moment for me because I thought that we had kind of resolved that knot, but she just revealed that she has a very interesting, conflicting, clashing reality belief right there, which is the amount of discipline a child shows in youth reflects directly into their success later in life. Like, that is not true. There's so many kids who were fuck ups for the longest time and now are CEOs. There's so many kids who had a privileged upbringing in a pristine, expensive neighborhood who then became, rapists and drug addicts and all kinds of crazy shit. So that's not true what she believes. So I would be interested in that because she just showed us, hey, I'm confused about how this whole projection into the future actually goes.
Well, I mean, I guess you are pointing out, I guess, a fundamental assumption that I think I was unconsciously working
Right.
with,
That's right. Which is what?
which is that if kids are taught to be responsible and organized and show good social behavior, that therefore means that they will be, you know, successful. However, you
I went to Oxford where everybody was boxed into that and they were all supposed to be proper. And I would love for you to see what these people thought to do at parties and in their personal lives. Like, it was the opposite. It was the opposite. All these kids with all this privilege. And once they were let out of the cage, they went completely ballistic, like bizarrely ballistic. So I have proof that you're wrong. Right.
No, I know I'm wrong. I don't know why I hang on to this.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think what you said about trying to keep my husband alive, there's a certain amount of truth to that.
Yeah.
I don't believe he had the winning formula, and I'm still hanging on to that, and it doesn't feel right anymore.
Yeah. Christiana, what do you want to ask her?
Is it necessary to have expectations of yourself as a parent? And can you just let these go?
Yeah, yeah, I guess I could let them go, but still, like they're still, I'm still, I think, keeping them because it's been a bit of a survival toolkit. You just kind of, when everything is spinning, you just go back to what you know. And now I think there's less spinning, so there's more room to say, yeah, this isn't working anymore. I'm throwing this one out.
Christiana, do you believe her? Do you believe that she's really thinking that she's going to modify her family?
Yeah, she may not be convinced yet
Yeah.
that this is true, that the expectations aren't necessary, her own and those for her kids, and the fact that maybe your kids don't have any expectations of you as a parent, like to have the house neat and clean and spotless. They don't care about that.
Well, we don't know. Maybe they do. You can't assume that. So
Right, right.
what I'm asking is, do you believe
Yeah,
that she has come to a juncture of change right now?
then we need to test it.
That's where exactly. So now you know where I'm going. So because I sort of believe it, but I have like I have one foot still in the we're not done camp. So that's when I would throw a test at her. And I would start with the easy one, an emotional test.
Help me, Maya.
Yeah,
Sure.
so now we would want to invent an emotional circumstance.
Okay.
Not an emotional circumstance, but an emotional challenge.
Okay. So say that you go home today, tonight, or you're at home and you speak to your son in a very friendly manner, or with all the kids, and you tell them what's really important.
So say his name, Kayvon. So you say you're
Kayvon,
gonna
yeah,
go home and speak to Kayvon.
Kayvon, yes. And
And leave out the rest of the kids. So just ask the question that matters.
yeah, and you wake up tomorrow just to see that everything is back to how it was. How would you react?
Honestly, I think I still would freak out.
See, she's not done.
Yeah.
That's right. What's
Yeah, I still would freak out, and I would, after so many times of repeating over and over, can
so
you
what
please
what
help me out?
what do you get out of that freaking out? What will you get out of it? How will it make you feel when you do it?
I think it gives me an excuse to like be very loud and visible, and for everyone to know that I'm upset.
So what you're just admitting is what I'm really doing is alerting others that my needs are unmet. Okay. Is it their problem that your needs are unmet?
No,
Why are you
no,
hesitating on that?
no, because then I go, well, maybe that's back to my fundamental belief that when you have like adult children living at home, that they should be more helpful.
Well, that's a good question. Like, what do adult children owe their parents? Do they get a free ride? Like, do we still have to wipe their butts when they're 17? Like, what is the expectation? Do you know? Have you ever really studied that?
No,
Okay.
no, but I'm assuming, and that's I think what I'm working from, that I'm assuming that they should they should contribute to the running of the household in the
Like,
same way
like
that they would if they weren't living there and they were living on their own.
so like, do all of your children have a responsibility that they're meant to execute every day?
Yes,
So like they know what it is?
yes,
Okay, so the problem is the other three do it and Kayvon does not. So he's the outlier.
yep.
Okay. Christiana, did you want to say something?
Yeah, early in the morning, you tell him, "Good morning, Kayvon, please make your bed." So the expectation wouldn't be met if he didn't make his bed, and that's what would make you upset. Is that correct? Early in the morning, what is the expectation?
Well, the expectation is he doesn't have that many responsibilities, but he has to make his bed, pick his clothes off the floor, and put them in the laundry. And then he has a couple of other responsibilities like cutting the grass and cleaning the car, things like that. So those are
Is
the things that he has to do, and he when he doesn't do them, it's not that much. So I freak out because I have to constantly follow up and follow up and follow up.
What's the actual consequence of him not doing it? Does he have any consequences?
He does. If he doesn't make his bed and pick his clothes off the floor, then he can't take the car. So it only gets done when he wants to borrow the car. So
But
if
so,
it's yeah,
so just
but
just enlighten me then. If he loses the car based on the bed not being made, what is the yelling accomplishing? Forcing him to borrow the car? I just don't understand. What is
yeah,
the yelling? No, I'm serious though. What is the yelling accomplishing? Because he already has a consequence, right?
yeah.
Are you
I think the yelling is just communicating the disappointment that it took a threat and carrying through on the threat in order for like him to do the task that was assigned to him.
What if he just didn't get the car for like 3 or 4 days? Would he start to be annoyed?
Yes.
Okay. Have you tried that?
Yes. Then I usually give in at some point. And,
Oh, so the problem is that you give in.
yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. So what you're saying is you set up a rule structure that then you break out of pity for him.
Yeah.
Okay. So the consequences are not durable.
No.
Okay. What does that teach him long term? I mean, you're the one who's so concerned about who he's going to become. So what does it teach him to know that my strong CEO, badass mom who set these rules, but she will actually bend them if I force her to? What message does that send?
It teaches him that he can pretty much get away with
Control women?
it. Yes.
Okay. How's that going to
Especially if,
go in the long term? I'm
oh my
serious.
God.
That he can
Yeah.
control his mom by being a bad boy, right? I've dated those guys. I'm just wondering, do you want to put that out into the world?
Oh my God, no.
Are you sure?
No, but you're right. It's not. Yeah. I think, back to when you said that I was stuck between the disciplinarian and then trying to be loving in those two roles, that's where I get caught all the time. So
Right. Why are
I'm
you
this
caught there?
disciplinarian, and then I give in because I feel like, oh my goodness, I'm pushing him away. And so then I go the other way. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'm not
it's almost
consistent.
like you become another person. So you become the other parent.
Yeah, and the message is cacophonous, and he never knows what to expect. One day I'm in a good mood, and then the next day I'm in a bad mood.
Right.
And then one day it's okay not to make his bed, and then the next day I'm freaking out.
Right.
So yeah, it doesn't. Yeah,
And
so
then
he is the sense that he calls me volatile.
I was just going to say, I was just about to say, and when he's with his friends, do you think he says, my mom is crazy?
Yes.
Is that the message you want him to take away from the life that he spent with you?
No,
Are you crazy?
I don't think so, but he makes me crazy.
That's right. But so you're not, but the fact that you're put into this situation gives you the symptoms of it.
Yeah.
Okay. How is that working on the long term?
Well, on the long term, it's really going nowhere. So on the long term,
Is it possible that there's a unified parent inside of you who doesn't have to change personalities?
yeah,
Is it possible that you don't know who that is because it's a new thing?
that is very possible because
Right.
I don't know how I could put those two pieces together because
Right.
right now it's one or the other.
What are the two pieces?
Uh, firm but loving,
Mm-hmm.
and um, having expectations but not being judgmental, and
Those are
yeah,
the same. That's the same. You just described the same one. What is the two? I thought the one you have to step into is a disciplinarian. That's the second one. The two you just described are the same. It's somebody who has boundaries but is loving. How did you see them as different?
well, I did see them as different. I saw them as one or the other. You either have boundaries or you're love. Like, I think
Oh, I see. Okay,
that's
okay.
where I
So
wasn't putting them together. But
give me the two again.
well, if now I'm all confused.
Me too.
um, I
When the client says they're confused, you're doing a good job.
I think I have a lot of difficulty straddling that line between being, setting expectations that I think are kind of reasonable, and ensuring that they're not being perceived as just a way of being controlling, and that it I don't know. I think because I think that's where the source of the conflict is. That Kayvon sees it as me trying to control him as opposed to me trying to help him, which
Okay.
is where it is actually coming from.
But that's the one side, reasonable expectations, and the other one is what?
The other one is unreasonable freak out, for
Okay, but what you were telling me is I don't know how to straddle the line. So you're telling me I don't know how to straddle the line between unreasonable freak out and reasonable expectation.
mhm.
Why would you hold on to unreasonable freak out as one of the options? Why is that on the line?
Because that's sort of what's worked in the past.
When?
What Well, it's only when I get really fed up and have a big, freak out that the kids actually step up and help. And they
So
know
you're
mom's
saying
upset.
so it helps you to get the house in order?
Yeah,
Does it help you with the love?
no,
Okay, so the price of the house being in order is a sacrifice of your first principle. Is it worth it?
no.
Okay, so why are you holding on to the freak out as an option if it sacrifices the principle that is most important to you?
I don't know.
How long do you want to do that?
I don't want to do that. I don't want my kids to see me as, unstable and, them not knowing when I'm going to be upset. I don't. I just,
What quality do you need to develop to not be that way?
patience,
Okay, love that. Perfect. Patience, good. Like it.
patience,
Patience, good.
a bit,
Slow
of
down.
perspective. So
Yeah.
not to interpret every dirty dish in the sink as a, message that it's, we're
We
being
don't love you.
disrespectful or whatever. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And is that what the dishes in the sink mean?
No.
No, they don't mean we don't love you, mom. They mean we're lazy teenagers and we went up to our room to surf the internet.
Yeah.
Right. That is what they mean. I mean, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay. So patience, perspective.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Patient's perspective. And they ask me this all the time, or they tell me this all the time. They say, Mom, we're just kids.
Okay. Right.
So, and in my mind, I'm like, no, you're not just kids. And, the kid thing is over now. Our circumstances have changed. So you have to step up. And they haven't, I think they're just haven't gotten there yet.
what's happening when you describe that? What's the emotion? I see you having some kind of resistance.
Yeah. Well, I guess I haven't given them their own room to deal with how they're living all these changes. Um, yeah, and maybe there's a part of me that is just being unrealistic and expecting that because I was able to step up and handle things that they should too.
That's
You know?
deep. That's deep. Just take a moment. That's really deep what you just said. Because I, the grown up, the mom, kept it together despite pretty unexpected loss. I expect them to do the same. But that's not fair because they're a third of my age. And they have never been through loss like I have. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and they keep telling me, but I haven't really heard that.
Right.
They keep saying, "Be patient, Mom. We're just kids."
Yeah. So when they're saying that we're just kids, they're not saying we can't help you with the house. They're saying our hearts are broken because we lost our dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a lot. What do you want to do with it? Take your time.
I guess I understand. I understand what they're going through.
Yeah. It's a lot. I mean, I don't know that everybody on the call knows that it was unexpected. It was an unexpected loss.
Yeah.
So they were blindsided. Is Kayvon sad?
I think he's sad and angry.
Yeah.
Very angry.
How does he feel when you yell at him in his sadness and anger?
He yells back.
Right. Because he's sad and angry.
Yeah.
What does he really want?
Oh, I think he just wants a hug.
Right.
But I can't hug him when he yells at me because I just yell back.
Right. So all the yelling is interrupting the hugging.
Yeah. I know.
What would happen if you woke him up in the morning and sat on the edge of his bed? I don't know if moms are allowed to do that with teenagers, but what if you did that and just said, "Good morning, Kayvon. How are you today?"
He would look at me and say, "What do you want?"
Exactly. Who are
Why are
you?
you doing this?
Give me my mom back. What's with the alien appearance in my room? What if you put your hand on his shoulder and just said, Kayvon, I love you. Have a great day today.
Yeah. You wouldn't know what hit him. You would, yeah.
But I mean, really, is it possible? Like, I'm not in your
Yeah.
life, but is it?
Of course it's possible. I don't know why I haven't been able to do that.
Yeah.
I
Is it
said, I
okay?
think I,
Let me ask you something, Alicia. Is it okay that you haven't been able to do it?
yeah.
I mean, are you just saying that because you know that's what I want you to say, or do you believe it? Like,
No, I believe it. I believe that I tend to like slip into over like overachieving mode and just bury all of the emotional stuff underneath. So I see that that's how I've dealt with my kids.
yeah.
I've just kind of made very yeah, all of the demands without dealing with them on the emotional level, especially Kayvon. And I think the issue is that he's the one that needs it the most.
Wow. That's not where we started. The issue is he needs it the most.
Yeah.
And yet I yell at him the most.
Yeah.
Okay. What does your family need in this time of grief?
To feel like we're all supportive of each other. Yeah, they feel that. I think they need to feel like they still have a parent who loves them no matter what.
Let's say the dishes stack up in the sink all the way to the ceiling, but you have the love. Is that okay?
That would be really okay.
Okay. And let's say the beds are not made. But
Yeah, that would be okay too.
would you eventually, as a CEO and as a powerful badass woman, figure out a way to get the dishes cleaned?
Yeah, it would
Hire
be.
a housekeeper or get somebody to do it or get the kids to do it because they get to lose the car or whatever in the end.
Yeah,
Okay. Is it okay to have 60 or 90 days of figuring that out?
yeah, it is. It is. I could get used to looking at the mess, I guess. It would be hard, but yeah.
Okay. I mean, will you let it continue to be a mess even though you don't
No,
like it? Right.
I
Something
would,
would happen, right?
yeah, I would clean it up at some point.
Maybe you wouldn't. Maybe you'd pay someone. Maybe you'd get the kids on board. Something would happen.
Yeah.
But is that the most important thing to do right now?
No,
What's the most important thing?
the most important thing is to reassure my kids that I adore them and that, yeah, that it's really not about those little things that I've been getting very upset about. Yeah.
What do you need as a woman, aside from as a mother who is grieving the loss of their husband? What have you not given yourself that you need? Take your time.
You know, I think it's wrong to want this from my kids, but I just wanted, like almost someone to acknowledge that this is really hard.
Yeah.
That's all.
And you want them to be the ones to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense to me. So what you need is for somebody to take care of you.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, yeah. You know, that's not the reality. But it's more. Um, yeah, maybe just I need more help.
Yeah. Well, you need more help. That's for one thing. Okay, that's fair. I'm a single mom also, so I know what it's like to say, okay, the truth is I need help. But also, what are we supposed to do, Alicia, as single women who have to bear the burden of household management, bill paying, medical stuff, our own sanity, potentially dating again? There's a lot, right? How are we supposed to do that? What what is what is needed to give ourselves the resource? Like you said, one thing, more help. Okay, true.
Yeah.
Who's supposed to take care of you? I'm just wondering. I mean, I asked myself the same thing, and I've only come up with one answer so far. Who's supposed to do it for me? It's not going to be my mom. She's too old. It's not going to be my friends. They have their own kids. They're too busy. It's not going to be this guy I met on Bumble. He has his own issues. Like, who is it going to be?
It comes back down to you.
There's only one option. One option.
Take care of yourself. Yeah, well, yeah, right. It's the oxygen mask first. You.
I mean, what do you think of that? I know you already know this. I'm not like
Oh, I know that.
surprising you with anything here, but what do you want to give yourself?
Well, I'm here today.
Yes, that's awesome. I love that. You volunteered. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yes.
Yeah.
You're being honest. You're being vulnerable. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I know that you have like a wonderful life and I know you have houses and you know, adventure. I know you do that stuff, but I still wonder, like, what is the nagging thing that would help you to feel like that thing you just said, which is, I just want somebody to recognize that this is hard and I'm tired.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Me neither. I just wonder.
Yeah. I think, yeah, time.
Okay, fair.
And acceptance, like, it's not like, it just, things are not going to necessarily change or become easier.
Yeah.
But it's about accepting that you can do things and still not be resentful and angry and upset and just still find the joy in the, until you can find joy in other things, and to find the joy in your everyday, in the little things, and not take the joy out by, like, being upset all the time, which is.
And at the very least, not create the opposite of joy.
Yeah.
Okay. Christiana, I totally took over. I promised myself I wouldn't do this today and I couldn't help it. I did it anyway. Could you tell me what, thank you. I'm sorry. I apologize. Can you tell me what you feel is needed right now?
I think we have improvement since the last test.
Definitely.
I don't know whether we need to test again. Yeah, I think.
So anytime you circle around, you always test it again.
Okay.
And sometimes you graduate to the next level of test. So we're almost done, Alicia. The next level of test would be a circumstantial test.
Okay.
So think of a circumstance that she's described in the last hour that has not been optimal and see what her response is when you represent it to her. Try one that we haven't tried so far.
A circumstance.
So put yourself in Alicia's shoes. So she's going to have to go back to her life now without our support. So we're going to ask her about, well, when this happens, what's going to happen to you?
Right. Okay. So imagine you wake up tomorrow and the sinks in the kitchen are all the way, the dishes in the sink.
So try another one. Try another one.
No, this one.
The only reason is because we tried that one already. We're going to try something more interesting. So let's say Kayvon misses a week of school or 3 days of school, and you get a call from the school asking where the heck he is. What do you do?
You know, I trust that he knows what he's doing because, and I'm not going to get upset because he's an adult and he's done really, really well in school up till now.
Amazing.
And he has to take responsibility for his own actions. So if he thinks that's the right thing to do, then it's on him.
Can he still use the car?
Yes. He can.
Don't fuck around.
He can still use the car as long as his bed is made. I'm not moving from that rule.
Okay, so you have some rules that are non-negotiable, but others where you trust him.
Yes.
Does that feel good to you?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Okay.
It gets him nowhere. As I think pointed out, going to class doesn't necessarily guarantee that his life will turn out okay.
So what happens if he yells at you because he's in grief? Instead of you thinking he hates me or he doesn't acknowledge me, what if you notice, oh, he's dysregulated because his heart is broken and he's yelling at me? What do you do then?
Then it doesn't make me yell back.
Beautiful. Love that. Are you sure?
Yeah, because it's when I think it's directed at me that my automatic reaction is to yell back.
How likely is it that a 17-year-old is actually yelling at you when they're in a period of loss?
Yeah, it's very likely because they're probably less able to regulate their emotions than, I guess, an adult or someone who's got more life experience.
So what do you do when he's like, Mom, fuck you, I hate you, you suck, whatever kids say?
You take a deep breath.
Right. By the way, exhale first. Exhale
first. I go look for a cauldron and try to amuse myself burning stuff, and then
log into my Facebook group and tell all the people I know. Tell my group what we're doing. What do you do? Do you yell back? Do you tell him I'm going to the other room?
I ask him the magic question. What's the problem?
And that's a good one.
Sincerely get curious about what's going on and where that anger is coming from.
Wow, you just made me feel like my whole career is worthwhile. That's great. Love that. Beautiful. Right. I ask him, what's the problem, Kayvon? Let's sit down.
Yeah, because I have two reactions. I either yell back or I walk away.
Right.
So I think I have to
breathe out, you exhale. Wait till there's a pause so you're not yelling. And you say, honey, what's the problem?
Yep.
Or do you want to talk to me? Or do you need me right now? Can I help you? What can I do to help you? And what if he still yells back?
I don't think that will happen.
Right.
If the tone is right and if it's sincere and if it's coming from the heart.
Excellent. Love that. Beautiful. Okay.
Pretty sure that's going to work.
Yeah, well, we don't know. Life is complex, but it's a good bet.
Well, it feels like that would be the right approach.
How do you feel right now?
I feel like I have like a, what do you call it? An aha moment.
Okay, perfect. That's why you're here. That's excellent. Yeah. Good job. Nice work.
Yeah.
Christiana, did she resolve the problem?
I think so.
If I was doing a regular session, I might ask a few more questions. I feel like she's tired right now from being watched, so I'm going to let it go. The only piece that I would like to know more about would be how you're going to organize the house. If I had more time, I would ask that because it's a relevant piece of the question. But I mean, I trust that she knows. I mean, she's been doing it for her whole life. She knows how to figure that out without me dragging her through it. But maybe for thoroughness, if I was paid, I would want to get more details on that. Is there something, Alicia, that you have held back, that you have not shared, that you would like to? Have you lied about anything? Is there something that you haven't had a chance to express that you would like to?
Not with respect to Kayvon.
Yeah.
I mean, each child has their own issues.
Right.
We usually
Like, how much time do you have?
on one. So no, heaven help that gay one. He is my biggest challenge. So.
Is there anything you want me to say to you that I haven't said yet?
No, you said enough. You kind of like acknowledge that this is hard. So I needed someone to hear. And
Oh, I think we all acknowledge that it's hard and that I mean, I at least am profoundly impressed with you and have been since the day I met you. It's amazing how strong and capable and impressive and talented and brilliant. And I mean, I wish everybody here knew all of the things that you do that I happen to know. I couldn't understate it or overstate it enough. I'm honored that you're in the course, by the way, too. Like the fact that you have time for this in that whole mixture is like such I told Jim yesterday, I was like, that lady Alicia in my class, I can't believe she's here. It's very amazing. I do.
Part of the oxygen mask, I guess. That's how I see it.
Well, keep using it as that.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you.
Okay, let's bring the group back. Thank you for participating, both of you, Alicia, Christiana. Sorry, Christiana, for letting me talk over you the whole time. Oh, wait a second. Sorry, Jim, can you go back to the pins? Can you just put them back for a second? The whole point of the routine today was to do the 6-part session. So there's 2 things left to do. What are they, Christiana? We got to the end of the interview. We got to the end of the testing. Now
tasking and demarcation.
Right. So go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So what are you going to do now after the session, Alicia?
Perfect. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take a nap.
Great.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay. How long do you think we've been here?
Oh my God. This felt actually like hours. Felt like a really long time.
That's fine. Sometimes time expands, sometimes it shortens. As long as they're distorted in time, I'm happy. So, and now I might say something like, the whole time I've been here, I've been noticing that top that you're wearing, which is very interesting.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I like the embroidery. I like the see-through sleeve.
The flowers.
Exactly. Like, it's pretty wild. It's very true to your personality. I just wanted to tell you I admire it.
Thank you.
That's the kind of thing that I do at the end of the session, demarcation. Because see, it brings a little joy. It makes us connect. It's something I've been wanting to say for hours, but I really, it was not the right time. So those are the 2 pieces that we do at the end of the session. Okay, sorry to.
Perfect. And I like that red couch behind you. Is this where you'll take your nap?
Yes.
That's it.
Close enough.
Yeah.
No risk. Nice. Oh.
Amazing. Okay, Jim, you can redo it, put us back.
And what about tasking?
Oh, thanks, Jim. Did we not do that?
No.
Okay, Jim. So tell Christiana what needs to happen.
Christiana, to bridge from this session to the future, what could you ask Alicia as a step to bridge between today and the future?
I'm sorry. I'm not sure if it's a question regarding a follow-up session with.
No. What small action could she take so that she has in her mind after she leaves this session what she can start doing?
So you could really just ask her that. So what's the smallest thing you want to do to keep this love nest at the forefront of your mind? And I would say the thing that she's going to do. By the way, everybody, the most suggestible moment of the whole session is now. It's right now. So you want to reinforce to her what she said, which is, my priority is the love. So I would say to her, so what's the smallest thing you can do to keep the love at the center of your home? That's tasking. Sleep tasking was also good. That's why I let that one go, because Christiana did sleep task her. But Jim is onto something excellent as well, which is a little future pacing. And look, it did make her subconscious to ask her that. What is the smallest thing?
You're asking me?
Mm-hmm.
I go back to what I said, this you know, to not be so reactive and to inquire, um, when my kids in particular came on as reacting, to really get to the bottom of why he's acting that way.
Yeah. So to ask him, to connect with him is what you're telling me. To not judge him, not deflect onto him, not put your own stuff on him, but to ask him.
Yep, exactly.
Make him important. That's perfect. Yeah. Isn't that going to feel good?
Amazing.
To make him feel important and loved?
I think he needs it. I think he's been waiting for it.
Don't you think you need it too?
Yeah.
And here's another.
I'm not going to get it from my kids, right?
Right.
They need different things.
Another piece that we left out that is occurring to me now is look at the benefit on the whole family. Like we left out the other 3 kids, but I could have asked her several questions about, wouldn't this change affect them too? And wouldn't that feel good to you as a mom? So we have a whole other motivational direction. I mean, we didn't need it. It just occurred to me now. Okay, let's bring the group back. Nice job, ladies. Amazing. Those were 3 powerful women, mothers working together. That's really inspiring to me. That was such a good demo. Thanks. Okay, questions? How did it feel to you as the client, Alicia?
I am so grateful. and thank you everyone for so patiently listening and watching. It felt really amazing, really. I feel like maybe it didn't seem that way. I don't know how you all perceived it, but I really did have an aha moment. So yeah, I think it was really, certainly for me, very helpful.
So you're asking yourself, all of you, how do I create a business? How am I going to sell this? I mean, that's how. Where's she going to get the aha moment if not here? Is she going to get it in regular therapy? No. Is she going to get it in EMDR? No. Is she going to get it in CBT? No. Is she getting it in her life where she's dealing with all kinds of super high profile people? No. She's going to get it with you. That's what hypnosis is for. Christiana, how did you feel?
I felt,
aside for annoyed that I interrupted you 7,000 times.
Not at all. You saved me. I felt very unprepared, kind of lost at times and not knowing which way to take it, what question to ask, uncertain of where this is going. And I loved that at some point I just I needed to go. I didn't need to predict where it's going to go. Right. So, yeah.
Exactly. And by the way, I often, sometime in the middle or at the beginning of a session, think, oh, fuck, I'm fucked right now. Like, what am I going to do? Like, I really think that quite a bit, but I trust the process and I just know that if I persist, we will go where we're going. So if you feel that way, that's normal. I still feel that way too, quite a bit. Okay, does anyone have a question on what happened, on anything? Yeah, Amanda?
Yeah, I thought it was super interesting every time her eyes,
I know, wasn't it?
Go up and you're just like, wow, she really is somewhere else right now.
Yes.
I guess I don't know how to take that when they're gone to this subconscious space. I could see that she would go there and it wasn't always that was a positive, like she was like lying, right, to herself, trying to convince herself of something. So how do we know when do you just follow your intuition to know if it's the subconscious saying, hey, this is the truth, or hey, this is a lie?
I don't care. What's the difference? Subconscious is subconscious. All I care about is
you just follow it no matter what. You don't care what it is.
The subconscious is way more intelligent than me.
Mm-hmm.
Like the statistics I've heard, which, statistics are not really reliable, so I don't like to use them, but from what I've understood, the subconscious can process over 1 million data sets at the same rate that the conscious mind can do like a maximum of a dozen. So a dozen versus 1 million. I mean, like, what are we even talking about? Like,
Right. So your line of questioning isn't dependent on the answers. It's just finding a clue to follow, like a little breadcrumb to follow.
The hypnosis is happening between questions. I'm interested in the interim between. I'm not interested in the conversation other than as a vehicle. The conversation is a therapeutic screen in front of the fractionation. Why it's important to not just ask random questions is because the therapeutic value is what is creating a so-called clean trance versus a dirty trance. A dirty trance is, oh, I have an addiction problem, which is unsolved. Close your eyes, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Your addiction is gone. That's a dirty trance because now I've told somebody, hey, I'll hypnotize you into something you don't believe and keep your problem, but change your symptom. Well, that's dumb. That is not a good approach. And that is what the majority of hypnosis is in our industry right now. A clean trance is, oh, so this is why it was what we just did with her. Oh, so this is why you have the problem. Oh, so you have grief. Oh, that's a problem. Oh, so you're yelling because you're unsatisfied in your own life. Oh, okay. Now she puts her eyes up and she has all that data with her. Now where she goes in her subconscious is honest and real instead of, oh, I'm just going to stop yelling. Like, no, you're not. You're going to stop yelling when you realize what's behind your yelling. So
I guess I realized today too that when you're asking questions, I thought you knew the answer when you asked us, like yesterday when I was on the side. I thought you were asking me questions because like you knew the answer and I had to think of the right answer. And today I was like, oh, you don't know the answer doesn't even matter. You don't know the answer.
Let me tell you something, Amanda. Every answer is right.
Right.
Because it's what the client's subconscious thinks. So like, I think it's great to like bang women, you know, and lie to them. Okay, that's right. That's right. That's what I would say to that. Because that person really thinks that. So their subconscious wants me to acknowledge that they just said that. So to me, it's right.
Okay. That makes it so much easier.
Yeah. And that's why all roads lead to Rome. And that's why stop panicking about what you're going to ask somebody, because what's the difference? All I care about is what their subconscious wants out of the session.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I mean, it's so beautiful what happened with Alicia because her problem has nothing to do with Kayvon. Her problem has everything to do with, I'm yelling at him so that I get attention, so that my grief is recognized. But now she's going to get to go into her life for the rest of the day and week and month and year and eternity, realizing if I meet my own need and find a way to resource myself, I don't have to burden my child. Now her subconscious is going to work retroactively to figure out how to give that to her. That's why I think my business does so well, because I'm really sure that once she cleans up her understanding, I'm sure that her subconscious is equipped to solve it. The traditional model would be like, okay, see you next week when you tell me, you know, how X and Y is going to happen. But I don't have an attachment to that because I know her subconscious can do it and will do it. And that's what processing is. In fact, she gave us a great clue today where I said, so how? And she said, I really don't know. And did I press her on it? No, because I know that what she's telling me is, I'm out of ideas. I'm out of energy right now. You need to let me process. That's what her subconscious was asking me. See, she's nodding. That's what her subconscious was saying to me is, I'm not ready right now, maybe because of the context, maybe because we're watching, maybe because she doesn't have the energy. I don't know. But I know what she said was, don't ask me that again. I'll do it later. Okay, I trust that. I'm not her mom.
If you had a follow-up session with her, you would revisit that, right?
No, I don't know what I would do. Her life could be completely different in a follow-up session. I would let her tell me what we're gonna do. I used to read my notes after before my second sessions, and I stopped. I do put at the top of the page the client's age, the name of their partner if they have one, the name of their children if they have given me that. I will check that because I don't want to come to a second session be like, okay, remind me what your kids' names are, because that's not super professional. But beyond that, what's the difference what the history says? We're back to like old model. Oh, it must be because of this, this, and this, and this, and I missed something. Like, oh, well, maybe it's not. For all I know, her whole life changed in that month or whatever, and I need to start from scratch. No assumptions. Like, really make no assumptions. Crystal?
Yeah, I was reflecting because you remember yesterday I had said like about having an agenda and not, and you were like, well, let me know when I do that. But I've realized it's not that you have an agenda, it's that you share insights.
Yeah.
And that's the part that like I can memorize all the questions you want, but like the insights that you have, like, do you just, have those increased over time with experience? Because like there were a few times there where like, you said, do you think it's also possible that not feeling supported and loved might also make him go do things that could ruin his life? Right? Which was like this total like, whoa, that's an aha moment, right? And that's an insight. That's not a question. I mean, it's a question, right? But it's a question that has information, right?
Fascinating question, Crystal. I mean, all I can say is I have no background in therapy, psychology. I studied philosophy. So, and I don't read like a bunch of books about all that stuff either. So I don't know where that came from. I don't know where those insights come from. They come from my soul. They come from my heart. I don't know. I think you'll have your own version of that. And yeah, I mean, I will say, like, from the school that I learned conversational hypnosis, that's not really part of it. That's something that I do in my method. And it works for me. And you're going to have the same things. You're going to have things you do in your method that works for you. I mean, and I'm a pretty transparent person, so I don't mind volunteering my soul and heart, but not every therapist is like that. So you'll have to decide on your own what to share. I mean, I will say too, like you just asked me, did that increase with time? Like my comfort and confidence has definitely increased with time. So like whatever is on my mind, I tend to say it because I know it's the field working through me. I mean, like it's kind of weird to be even saying that because I'm not a super spiritual, like woo-woo. Like I can't believe my career has come to that where I'm telling people, oh, I let God work through me. But like that's the truth. Like I've reached that point, I guess, where I know that I am not the operator of the session. And if you look back to my first training, you can see that I don't know that then. So yeah, I guess that has come to me over time. And that's part of why I love this job, because it's given me so much opportunity to get in touch with love and humanity and truth and everything that's beautiful. And that's why I promote it. And I think it's a good line of work because we all want that and deserve it. Jim?
Yeah, might I suggest when you set up practice sessions with the group that you do it in threes?
Oh yeah, that's a great, tell them why. I haven't said that yet. Tell them why.
Because one is the traditional that we've done here, where one's the client and one's the therapist. And the other one is what we call the observer.
Yeah.
And when you do the after actions review of how the session went, then you get the input of three people. And I think, Crystal, you'll get insights of that third person and all three of you combined when you do your practice sessions. And I think that will help you develop that intuition.
He's totally right. Practice in threes is awesome. I love being the observer because there's really nothing to do except watch. And by the way, I think I have that advantage right now that I am the observer in a way. is good too. If you have a partner like you and Sky, that's good. But not having to take action is the best.